Welcome to the Blessed to Teach show. I'm your host, Rick. Here we are on Wednesday, December 19th. We got a special guest, Bob from Trade Genius, that we're going to be talking to here in a second. We've got new Q posts. We're talking about On Stage, Sara Carter and John Solomon, as well as Sean Hannity. What does Q mean by that? We're going to dig into these new posts, then get into a bunch of cybersecurity and things going on at the Federal Reserve. That's just amazing. So we'll get with Bob here soon. Bob actually is not only an expert on the Federal Reserve, but also an expert on a lot of the investing in cryptocurrencies, well, stocks and other things. So there's my dog going crazy because my wife came home. I don't know why she's barking so much. He's the protector of the household. So perfect timing for him, I guess. So let's dig into these new Q posts real quick, and let's see who's coming on live here. Make sure, it looks like I need to just check a setting real quick. There's nobody on chat, which never happens, and it's not showing anybody on. So let me check just real quick. Sometimes the notifications don't go out. I've been playing with private as well as public on here. It says one person watching. See if it's just because it was late. Looking real quick to make sure it's on public. It is on public, so here they come. Just really late because I was switching between private, testing everything out here. So here we are on the Blessed to Teach show. I should cut that out if I could, but we're live. So here we go. We look at Jeremy and Tyler from Arkansas, and Jam from Staten Island, and Blue Space Pictures from Colorado. Thank you, Elizabeth from Colorado, and Oklahoma. We got people all the way from Canada and Oregon and Michigan. Thank you guys for joining. Wisconsin, Albuquerque, Texas, and California. Keeps on going. Pennsylvania. Hey guys, again, we're talking about new Q tonight. We're talking about On Stage. He's talking about Sara Carter and John Solomon and John Hannity. This is the Blessed to Teach show on December 19th, Wednesday. Let's get looking at these. I have a special guest, Bob, that's from Trade Genius, who's also an expert on the Federal Reserve as well as cryptocurrency investing, as well as stock investing, etc. We'll talk to him here shortly. Now let's dig into these new Q posts. If you look at the last one we went over, it was the end stress test failed, right here on 26/25, which was on December 12th. Then we got 4 new Q posts. This first one is 26/26. And it has an article here from NBC. We may read that after the interview with Bob here, but this is just interesting. More fake news from NBC, clearly trying to slam QAnon. And Flynn hearing leaves the far right's conspiracy theorists wanting, with absolute article full of lies. I was just shocked to read through it to see how they can get away with so many lies about what I and you were expecting as the Q following community. We were not depending the Q's truthfulness to have to be based upon Flynn being exonerated. We know exactly why Flynn is staying in the game, right? To get all that injected evidence, which we talked about yesterday in quite detail. So that article is a laugher, but it says the clock is ticking. When will the first alarm ring? If the Senate was primary target, majority control, 53 to 47, active when? We know that's active on January 3rd when the new Senate gets sat. It says EO, designated targets, active when? We know that goes active on January 1st. And it says ongoing investigations. There are a lot of sealed indictments. Supreme Court, it's all about to come out. SC is Sara Carter, where I saw this live where she said there's a lot of sealed indictments about ready to come out, is what she was talking about. And then there's another quote here. It says, it's all going to come out. U1, which is uranium one, the dossier, Clinton Foundation, etc. Quote by Sean Hannity. It says SH, that's Sean Hannity. I have pretty good sources, Sean Hannity. There's a reason why, this is Q talking, there's a reason why SH, SC, and JS are on stage. That's what I'm talking about here, is on stage. And what are they on stage doing? They're the Great Awakening. The Great Awakening. So that's why I say when people say nothing's happening, Trump's in trouble, say, guys, you've got to just watch Sean Hannity on the segments that John Solomon and Sara Carter are on. Read SaraCarter.com. Your picture is in the middle of the screen, somebody's saying. I'm not sure what they're... I'm not sure what people are telling me. I'm in the way. No, I can see it right now. It's not too bad. So anyway, the whole fact is that if you just go look at Sean Hannity and you go watch just a segment, which is usually around a 3 or 4 or 5 minute segment with Sarah Carter and John Solomon, it's nearly every night, probably 4 out of the 5 nights, you will see exactly what Q is letting the people know, wants the public to know. So, and this just confirmed it one more time. So again, watch Hannity. That's why I go live right after Hannity's done. Actually, Dan Bongino hosted it tonight. So I was watching that, right? So here we go. On another, this is that same article, same drop we just read, and then he amplifies on it more in this post, which is 26-27. And it says, why does the fake news media continually attack as they say, so-called only a conspiracy, nothing to see here, lonely guy behind the keyboard movement? The largest media co's in the world are giving so much attention. Washington Post leading the attack. Logical thinking always wins. Q. So here we go. We've talked about this, right, in detail. The Washington Post is leading the attack. We just saw NBC News joining in, and they're attacking Q as much as they possibly can, right? Now, there's two more drops that he gave us as well. Look at this one. It's 26-28, and it has a YouTube video. And this is literally this video will get Trump elected. They've seen that many times, right? Where this video will get Trump elected, and it's just a beautiful 6 minutes. If you haven't listened to that in a while, listen to that. There's so much truth in there. Talk about this is not just another 4-year election. Listen very carefully. Power returned to the people. Long-term solutions. Panic. Q. Right? And this is 26-28, where he's really getting into that video and how truthful it still is. Power returning to the people. It's long-term stuff. It's not the short-term. This is not another 4-year election talking about 2016. It's not talking about 2020 here, because it's talking about the video that was produced, and just an amazing video showing that this is about to happen. And then the last drop is classic. It's Trump, because it's Q+. Remember, Q+ is signed by Trump. He says in brackets, D-Day, Patriots, we will have our country back. So a lot of discussion on what is D-Day. Is D-Day, July 26th or whatever, what the actual date? Hopefully we don't have to wait that long. If you go back and look at what it really meant, it meant just a day when you weren't sure what the date is. You didn't want the enemy to know what the day was, but you could go like D-1 is one day before the invasion, right? Or D+1 was the day after the invasion. So that's same with H, where the H hour would be 1 minus H would be 1 hour before the invasion, etc. So D-Day, remember, D doesn't mean anything really specific, and so we shouldn't be trying to guess a bunch of dates. People are saying it's January 3rd when the House and Senate gets started, right? So everybody's gonna be arrested that day. I see everybody else saying, no, it's gonna be December 19th or December 23rd is gonna be the day. That's my birthday, by the way, 2 days before Christmas. So that is why I just need to not get into that too heavily about trying to guess dates. But we know that D-Day is approaching, and again, D-Day was the invasion of Normandy, right? We tackled the beach. But did we win the war at that point in time? No. We had a lot more ground to cover and to really free Europe. Right. So the start of this is going to be potentially just the D class. The D could be D class, right? So you guys let me know what you think D is, and I'm sure we'll be discussing that over the days. I'm going to refresh real quick just to see if there's any more drops came. Nope. Looks like we're caught up on the drops. I have a ton of news, but right before I bring Bob over, I want to talk about a couple things. These articles right here. If you look at this article here, look at this. Says Fed chair screws America. This is Gateway Pundit. Crashes market. Announces new rate hike. Dow plunges 720 points. Updated. All right, so you can go read that article, but just the fact that the Fed raised the interest rates again, I think it's the fifth time since Trump has been elected that they've raised the rates. I'm not sure. Bob will probably correct me on that here in a second. This is the group of privately owned bankers that call themselves the Fed, but have no connection to government whatsoever, are literally trying to crash our booming economy in time for the 2020 election. So we learned that from Q, right? And here's a bunch of discussion here on Vote about that. Another headline, how Trump could fire Powell and rebuild the Fed. So remember, just a few drops back, he said Fed restructure with a question mark. Q told us that, yeah, Trump's about ready to restructure the Fed, and how that's all going to shake out. We're going to get Bob's opinion here in just a second. And then another thing that Bob is an expert on that I want to get more scoop on is the whole Bitcoin cryptocurrency, which might be a way to override the Fed, right? And now we know there's a pro-Bitcoin official in the White House. The new chief of staff for Donald Trump is a Bitcoin fan. So I would like to get some more details from Bob on that as well. So let me introduce you a little bit to Bob from Trade Genius as I bring him on the screen here. Hey, Bob, we can all see you now. Appreciate you joining us. I'm going to...
Can you see me okay?
I sure can. I'm going to move you a little closer to the microphone, though. So we got you.
Yeah, so this is how it works, Rick. When you start, your dog barks. When I start, my dog barks.
We just timed that perfectly, didn't we?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But yeah, so a really interesting day in the market is, with the Federal Reserve. I think this is their seventh increase that they've done. And
seventh?
Now, yeah, they're going to invert the yield curve, which means that the short-term rate which is the rate they contrive, is now rising higher than what the market suggests that the interest rate should be. People don't realize that the Federal Reserve only controls one rate, and that's the short duration rate, which they've been increasing. But the long bond yields have been falling, and when they invert, it causes the banks great stress. So whatever they're doing is not going to work long term. And, the point with the, and I've said all along too, I'm glad you picked up on it, is that them trying to, they're trying to put Trump in a box by raising rates. They did this to Bush 1. I don't know if you remember this in 90 and 91. And he went quietly into the night and he lost the election to Clinton.
Yeah.
But Trump's too savvy for that. And he got out in front of that really fast. And you notice today, he hasn't said much at all about what Powell did, and I think he's like, hey, look, this guy's got his rope now. He can hang himself. This whole recession that will come upon us because of this is going to be all on the Fed, and they have precedents. They've done this before, Rick. 1938, they raised interest rates into a fragile recovery after the Great Depression, and crashed the stock market by 50%.
50? Woo!
50%. They're gonna. And right now they're we're down 14.5% from the top, 6.5% year to date, and we're probably going to drop 25% here over the next 6 months. We're gonna go back under 2,000 on the S&P, under 20,000 on the Dow at this rate, and because they've crippled our corporations. A lot of people don't realize 15% of the S&P cannot cover the interest charges of the debt that they're carrying on their books based on the cash flow that they have.
Wow.
So that means you've got to lay people off, or they got to raise equity, which brings the stock market down further, or they got to sell businesses, or they go bankrupt. And we already know from GE and GM are telling us that they're in a world of hurt. And the Federal Reserve now controls pretty much everything but the healthcare market. They've already screwed the auto markets. They already screwed the mortgage markets. They already screwed the real estate market. Credit card delinquencies are through the roof. Student loan delinquencies are through the roof.
Yeah.
So I don't know what this guy's smoking by saying the economy's good. So there's something else at play here. It's political of some nature, and but it's going to blow up in their face, and it's going to blow up pretty soon. So the only good news that came out of this, he went from we're going to raise 4 times to raise 2 times. The market prognosticators are saying he's done raising. this was like a fig leaf, that he had to come on strong. And going into next year, we're not going to see any rate increases because the impact that they already have on the stock market and on the economy. So I think I agree with that. And I think Trump is going to come out full barrels on him. And, you're talking about the Fed restructuring. I don't know if they'll necessarily fire Powell. They may use this as an opportunity to create more transparency or more government control over the Fed. And because right now that they operate as an autonomous agency that controls our economy, you got to think about it. 12 people, probably 100 preferred shareholders around the world control our entire economy.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
And if people get really educated on that, I think we'll see yellow jackets in this street.
Yeah, no kidding. We need to have yellow jackets in this street.
Exactly. So I think that's what's going to happen with the Federal Reserve, and I think he's done. And I think Trump's letting it play out now. And I think this new chief of staff is going to be good on a lot of levels. So you notice he curbed his tweeting today, and I think it's good. I think Trump needs to go quiet, and I think he needs to start unnerving some people going into the new year.
So you think that's part because of the new chief of staff of why he didn't tweet as much?
I'm speculating. That's the only thing really new here.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And you already seen a change of tone. And, this guy's an operator. So,
hey, In the Matrix has joined us. I really appreciate you being here, In the Matrix. Awesome stuff, man. I've been seeing In the Matrix on War Drummer, by the way. I don't know if you follow any of those, Bob, but some of the best decoders out there in the world are watching a little bit now today. But, hey, I didn't even think about all the interest the corporations have to pay on their debt as being a huge burden. And now Trump's talking about I'm gonna actually restructure the Fed. Well, I guess Q said that, right? And it said Fed restructure. So I know there like 4 openings for Trump, and because it's all this private company on a private property and not even part of the United States, and under no laws. I mean, what do you think some of that restructure could possibly be?
Hey, well, it all depends on how serious things get, but Trump could force an audit, or he could put legislation out there saying that the Federal Reserve is not allowed to fund foreign banks. There's a lot of things he could do to twist them up in knots and force them out into the open. The other thing Trump can do is simply mint whatever coin he wanted to and form a constitutional crisis, basically saying, you know what, we control the mint. I'm creating a new coin. I'm going to call it the $1 trillion coin. And I'm going to use that to pay off China's debt to us. And I'm going to hand it to them.
Wow.
So there's a lot of things that can happen. If everybody thinks the Fed is all powerful, I think they're going to be disabused of that notion over the next 2 or 3 years. And I think that the time of the Fed is passing.
I love to hear that. I love to hear that, Bob. So that kind of gets back to my cryptocurrency topics, as well as I forgot to tell you that one of the latest drops, Q also said that gold, in a question and answer period, basically said gold is going to be the downfall of the Fed. So that means gold-backed currency, right? But it doesn't have to be the current printed currency.
Oh, no, absolutely. Fiat currency is a new phenomenon, Rick. Mm-hmm. It's only been around really since 1971, 72, when Nixon took us off the gold standard. And we're going to go back. In fact, I was just interviewing somebody else here recently, and they were asking me where the prices can go. We can rebalance our debt with gold. Gold goes to $25,000. You can pay off the debt. So, gold's been suppressed now for 50 years.
Right.
And if it rises to match the debt, that's how high gold can go. That's why we've always been extremely, extremely bullish on gold and silver and the miners, because it's coming. And, in August, something happened. Gold really stopped going down. Gold and silver have been holding steady. It's still in the channel today. Stock market's been dropping like a stone. And then cryptocurrencies over the last couple of weeks have now started to pick up the pace as well.
Right.
And then Mulvaney, as you talked about, he's a pro Bitcoin guy, and he's an anti-Fed guy.
That's
And
what that's what that
so,
article was saying. It's like, wow, to have him as a chief of staff can't hurt at all, right?
yeah, and so the first shot on the 15th was the announcement of Mulvaney as chief of staff. And then the second shot was he basically said, I like Bitcoin. And lo and behold, Bitcoin's up 21% in what, 4 days?
Right.
That's 2 years worth of stock market movement, Rick, that you got in 4 days with Bitcoin. And we're pretty sure the bottoming process is intact right now. And now you can just trade the wiggles until we start the uptrend again. People always ask me, they say, what is the value of Bitcoin / cryptocurrencies? It's really the antidote of a bad politics. It's the anti-bank. It's the only place you can go other than having gold and silver in your safe as an asset. We've had a good month so far. Cryptos are flat for the year from an index standpoint, but we're up over 20% on the trade, closer to 30% by just trading our algorithm on it. And we see now that, potential up to 5,500 short term, and then we'll have to wait and see what the next shoe to drop is.
Okay. And I just realized my settings, as I've been messing around with my computer so much, getting everything set up. So I'm showing you full screen now, Bob, when I didn't have you there, and I just realized people could not see my screen before that. So just let you guys know I'm working on this in the background while I'm talking here, so to make sure that I get this added. So let me see if I can get that going. But hey, I know you're training me, or I'm actually taking the online course of the cryptocurrency now, which has been incredibly valuable. But I haven't started trading yet because I want that a little bit of coaching from you too. And I know you've got all kinds of packages available to help others do that. So and then you have some Christmas specials, I hear too, right?
Yeah. Until Friday night, we're running some Christmas specials for you guys, and you get the signals, and you get the software that we use to signal so that you can follow along at home and see when the trades are setting up, and you can buy and sell along with us in addition for us sending the signals out to you. And works out very well. We have high profit levels and high profit growth, and we just grind them out every day. We help people make money nearly every day in the market that way, Rick. Cryptos, we trade futures, we trade the stock market. And in the stock market, we're focused pretty much on gold miners, silver miners, uranium miners, because we think that's the future. And we had a great be a good thing. It'll be a bit of an adjustment for people, but after that, people are going to make some, go back to not having two people having to work to make a living. We're going to be able to go back to more of a gilded age, if you will, once we get the excesses out of the system.
Yeah, and that's what reason I wanted Bob on, guys, is to me this is an incredible opportunity to think through your investment strategy, with gold probably being able to be backed up these new currencies or the current currencies, and then also Bitcoin and others maybe overriding some of these. So I think it's a good time to really get smart and get trained on cryptocurrency and how and what we should be investing in. All right.
Yeah, from our view is start moving out of the financial current, like the high tech and the FANG stocks, and start moving into the commodity stocks, and you'll be thankful in 2 years. And because this whole thing is the wheels are coming off the apple cart, and people are going to demand that we go from fake to real. And we're looking at silver probably in 2 years going from $14 to $60 or $70, gold going from $1,200 to $2,500. So there's some tremendous opportunities for people that are paying attention, and then we'll teach you how to get in and out of these trades so you can make profit along that path.
Right.
And I think you'll be really happy you did.
Sounds great. Hey, and I had all kinds of setup issues here, Bob, so we might have to have you on a little bit later time. But I think we got the gist of it in there. I turned the sound off for a little bit here as I was trying to bring my screen back up. So as I change all these settings, I apologize for doing this too close to the deal. But I really appreciate you taking your time, especially with your expertise on the Federal Reserve. Love to get you back on to talk a little bit more as these events in the Federal Reserve start happening.
Yeah, no, hey, thanks for having me. TradeLikeAGenius.com. Specials are running till Friday night. Come check us out. Come join us. I think you'll be happy you did.
Sounds great. Thanks, Bob. You take care, buddy.
Thank you.
All right.
I'll sign off. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Hey, guys, I have all my settings messed up. So you can probably see, I went over these drops, and you couldn't even see my screen. How stupid. So just to let you know what I'm doing, I've finally figured out how to get video playing that I was supposed to be him directly from the computer, and really doing some new cool things. But as I did that, I got my setting messed up on one of them, and obviously when I flip settings, it's not playing to my new sound system. So I've got to I realize I have to do that 3 different times now, as I'm going to flip back and forth between my screen and you guys seeing me. So I'm gonna have to do this a little bit manual right now, but we'll keep on rolling here. But you guys can see my screen now. You just can't see me, which is fine. So I'm just gonna show you right now. I'm gonna make sure. Give me a 1 if you have good sound. If you've got sound right now, it looks like showing me you have sound and everything's looking good. And we'll go over these Q drops one more time where you guys can actually see them. You're all thumbs up, Rick? Good. Hey, guys, so I think it's really important for you to understand the Federal Reserve and what's going on there. That's one thing I wanted to get an expert on here. So Bob is an awesome guy that really understands it. Like, I had no idea how much effect that those rates were having on even the corporations, as a good example, right? Here's you guys didn't see. Day Patriots. I'm sure you guys have seen this. We have our country back. Q plus, right? Here is 2028, this is not another 4-year election. Listen very carefully. Power returned to the people, and just the fact that it says long-term solutions. Panic. Q. All right, then we saw this one here. There's 26. This is both of them in one. So this is the last part I'll review with you real quick, just to catch up from what I didn't show you before, which is this NBC article, fake news article. I'm going to go read that in just a second. The clock is ticking. When will the first alarm ring? If the Senate was the primary target, majority control, 53-47 active when? And this is what's talking about the Senate coming on January 3rd. The EO, designated targets, active when? So that new EO that makes the military tribunals and a new reign is January 1st. Ongoing investigations, ... Those are all the ones that are in the House are going to flip over into the Senate. There's a lot of sealed indictments coming out, is what she said. Sara Carter was the one who said that. SC. It's all going to come out. Uranium One, the dossier, Clinton Foundation, etc., says Sean Hannity. I have pretty good sources. Sean Hannity, and he actually said you guys have good sources as well when I was watching that live. There's a reason why Sean Hannity, Sarah Carter, and JS are on stage, right? And that's John Solomon, Sarah Carter, Sean Hannity. So this is why anybody that's saying nothing's happening, get him to just say, hey, just watch Sarah Carter and John Solomon on the Hannity show. It's like a 5 or 7 minute segment usually, and I think you will find that will be a awesome source for you to wake up people slowly. And then also you can send them SarahACarter.com, her articles. John Solomon is The Hill. So you can search on The Hill, John Solomon. They have 1 or 2 articles each coming out every day almost, right? So, and they're the ones working, I believe, directly with military intelligence. That's why they're on the stage. And that's why I had put that up right here, right? They're on the stage. Sarah Carter, John Solomon. That's the picture of those guys right there. So if you are not watching Hannity because you hate Fox News, I know there's a lot of people, Fox News is a controlled opposition, but not Sarah Carter and John Solomon. They're telling the newest sources of what Q wants released during the timing of the military intelligence unveiling, if you will, right? And so we're going to keep going here. I'm not going to mess with anything because it's just going to show you the whole screen here. Here is the Flynn hearing leaves the far right's conspiracy theorist wanting. I'm going to read this whole article just because it's fascinating to see how the fake news is working. Look at this. As Mueller investigation has widened and ensnared more members of Trump's team, conspiracy theorists of Trump loyalists have been forced to contort in a variety of ways. Complete lie. To me, just you saw my show last night, right? We were excited about what happened with Flynn. He's staying in the game. Now, people don't understand Q, and I'm not being critical here at all. Just people like Dan Bongino, he doesn't understand Q. He's confused about this and interpreting things incorrectly, I believe, as well as so was Alan Dershowitz on the being interviewed today by Dan Bongino, and by Tucker Carlson, and he was saying he was so confused why he just wouldn't plead innocent versus guilty. Well, we know why, because he's injecting evidence and he's still helping, and they think it's because Mueller is this horrible person and has bankrupted him and is making him comply. Or they're going to go after her son and all this stuff. We know, no, that's not the case. It's really, they're making it look like that, but it's really the case of him actually being used to inject evidence into all the other cases, including Uranium One, including all the dead bodies that he knew about when he was the DNI. And we read about the NDA, the non-disclosure agreement, and how that's probably why he is able to get all this stuff into the evidence as we speak here. I'm just going to make you guys bigger so I can see everything there. Now let's look at this. This is Ben Collins, obviously a controlled shill. He says a year-old conspiracy theory. Look at that. That is this 1968 invented term by the CIA to discredit anybody that didn't believe in the Warren Report. Everybody knows that that was a bunch of crap, right? It was false about the JFK death, but they invented this and they smeared everybody with their media that tried to teach anything else but what the Warren Report said, the Warren Commission report said, right? A year-old conspiracy theory simmering in both far-right message boards and mainstream conservative publications that predicted former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn would be exonerated fell apart on Tuesday as his sentencing hearing leaving believers perplexed. Which is interesting. I'm a good judge of you guys. I see you guys communicate with me all the time. I never said that it was going to be thrown out. I don't think so. Go back and listen to the videos, right? I was more we're talking about the plan. It's the military intelligence with all these different ways to adjust to your enemy, right? And who knows whether those are going to what the actual timing of things are going to be or what's going to happen. What we do know, in 30 days after Q said free and 30, it was completely came out that he hadn't lied. So we knew that there wasn't going to be any major punishment at all. And there's still not going to be. So the judge talks about treason. Well, that was just because they're setting up and getting the media to talk about treason. So I believe they're working with that judge to help with the education of people, as the media went crazy over that. Now they think anybody who breaks FARA is actually guilty, right? So of potential treason. Well, who broke FARA? Who has not registered for FARA and worked with governments to sell us out? Well, Clinton Foundation's one of them, not to mention probably the Pelosi Foundation and others, right? So let's just keep going here. The rumors, which were pushed heavily by believers in the QAnon conspiracy theory in recent days, that's interesting, I didn't push that, predicted that Judge Emmett Sullivan would throw out Flynn's guilty plea and reprimand special counsel Robert Mueller's team for nefarious investigating practices. So look what he just said here. He's saying that everybody that believed in the QAnon conspiracy thought that would happen, and that Robert Mueller was this bad person doing nefarious things. Well, that's not what I've been telling you. I've been telling you from the beginning. I think he's the biggest sting in history, and that he's a gray hat, right? Working with the white hats. So that's a complete lie to say that right there. In reality, Sullivan's exonerated Flynn, saying that arguably you sold your country out by working as an unregistered foreign agent to Turkey while advising President Donald Trump during his candidacy, and clarifying with Flynn that he did not wish to challenge the circumstances under which he was interviewed by the FBI. Flynn's defense attorneys suggested last week that he had somehow been entrapped into lying to the FBI. And we all know that he purposely did this to get all his evidence injected. I was aware that lying to the FBI was a crime, Flynn told Sullivan, added that he accepted responsibility for his false statements. Now, the judge asked him 3 times, Judge Sullivan, 3 times if he wanted to withdraw his plea. He was going to give him the chance to do that. And obviously Flynn didn't want to do it because it's part of the plan. Though Sullivan delayed sentencing Flynn for 3 months, noting that Flynn could cooperate further with Mueller's team, he made it clear that the jail term for Flynn remains a possibility. As Mueller investigation was widened and ensnared more members of Trump's team, conspiracy theories of Trump loyalists have been forced into a variety of contortions to justify the belief that the special prosecutor's actions are working in Trump's favor or an abuse of prosecutorial power. Many of those contortions relied on Flynn being let off by Sullivan, who on Tuesday made it clear that would not be the case. He's going to be free anyway in 3 months, back in March, right? So it's just silly to sit here and say that was I depressed? I certainly wasn't depressed. So again, completely trying to paint this incorrectly. This is what the fake news media does. The idea that Flynn holds a lot of secrets about the deep state and won't face serious consequences is important to the QAnon community. Hey, the first true statement he's made, but then he screws it up here, said Travis View, a conspiracy theory researcher. They've been banking on Sullivan throwing out the charges. False. Completely false. We've been banking on Sullivan throwing out the charges? No. He's staying in there to inject evidence. We knew that from the beginning. In the last week, conservative media has hailed Sullivan as a hero who was about to unmask the purported misdeeds of Mueller investigation. Now, there were some right articles talking about that. The notion that Flynn could end up exonerated found its way to Republican Darrell Issa, Republican California, who guessed on Fox News Sunday this week that Flynn case could be thrown out of court. I would not be surprised a bit if the conviction of Flynn is overturned because of the Justice Department and FBI's misconduct, Issa said, which it's going to be anyway later, right? So the fact that they're celebrating, the NBCs and the deep state of the world celebrating that he didn't get set free. The theory began back in February with a series of articles on conservative news websites lauding Sullivan as government misconduct expert, which he was, who may be looking to get Flynn to change his plea. And he did. He tried 3 times to get him to change his plea. So Emmett G. Sullivan is one judge who is ready, willing, and able to hold Mr. Mueller accountable to the law and who has the wherewithal to dismiss the case against General Flynn for egregious government misconduct. If Mueller doesn't move to dismiss it himself, wrote lawyer Sidney Powell on the Daily Caller on February 16th. Similar articles from the same week in the Washington Examiner and National Review. Do you notice how anything that's not a liberal news media is far right? Conspiracy theory organizations, right? Spawned additional speculation that Sullivan might be indicating that Flynn should change his plea. From there, far right message boards and members of so just any libertarian view or any conservative view is a far right message board, and members of the QAnon conspiracy community have been banking on Sullivan throwing out the charges. View said, I just told you that. That's complete lie. That's not at all. We're banking on the plan, the military intelligence plan that ebbs and flows and has thousands of different ways we can respond. This is actually one of those instances in which the conspiracy theory was sparked by respectable conservative publications and that spread downward into a fever swamps, View said. This is different from how conspiracy theories typically spread, in which fringe forms develop. So they always call it fringe. These are their favorite words. Fringe, all these anti-QAnon things, and develop a theory, and it spreads to mainstream social networks like Twitter and then to fringe publications. So everything's fringe. It's not and View said that the National Review article by Andrew McCarthy on February 13 was a major catalyst for believers that Sullivan would vacate Flynn's plea, even if that wasn't McCarthy's intention. The fact that they moved this on was just for him to continue to inject the evidence, continue to work with Mueller on other cases. That and it was clearly showing it was other cases. McCarthy didn't actually endorse this view, of course, and the possibility had a just asking questions frame, if you said. The web's most active pro-Trump community, Reddits, are the Donald hailed Sullivan as an American hero, and one of the site's top posts this past weekend, Sullivan had been mentioned in the title of a post since the postponement. And what's funny is him being so mad at Flynn and talking about how what you've done here could be treasonous, and then he apologizes and says, "Oh yeah, you weren't working in the White House when you were working with Turkey." So that's why he had to apologize. But what the point was is that if you were working in the government and you were working as a foreign agent, you needed to file with FARA. If you didn't, that's a criminal activity. Who has done that? We talked about it last night. Well, Clinton Foundation's done it. We know Pelosi's probably done it. Feinstein with China. So it's all over the place. And the fact that the media is talking about treason and FARA together, the Foreign Agent Act, right? That is a part of the whole Great Awakening. The web's most active pro-Trump community, Reddits, are the Donald, which we know are all anti-Q. Most of these people that run that board are anti-Q. Hailed Sullivan as an American hero in one of the site's top posts this past weekend. Sullivan hasn't been mentioned in the title of a post since the postponement. So supposedly, that I'm not sure if that's the case, but it doesn't really matter. They don't understand. But this is the paragraph that was the last paragraph. Look at this. Believers in QAnon, the repeatedly debunked conspiracy theory. They have not even looked at qproofs.com and done one article on qproofs.com. If somebody really wanted to debunk Q, they needed to go look at qproofs.com. The hundreds and hundreds. Q's giving us look at the gingerbread video we watched. I gave 4 or 5 proofs right there. We got more today, a 1 minute between Q's post and for the first and Trump's tweet, a 1 minute delta. It happens almost every week. We get new proofs for Q. And says it's repeatedly debunked conspiracy theory. This is total CIA oriented type wording right there. That Mueller and Trump are secretly working together to take down a global pedophile ring run by the Democrats, and many celebrities also grew agitated at Sullivan's inability to adhere to their prophecy. So was I agitated? Okay, I've been following this since day one. I wasn't agitated. I saw tons of Anons. They weren't agitated. So they lie here and they lie here. So, and then it's not like we're prediction. We're trying to predict things, right? All the time. So this just shows you that Ben Collins and this supposed conspiracy expert view here are just a bunch of mockingbird media puppets is what they are. So that it's crazy when you really get into to looking at that. Here's some other news that this is this Bitcoin that we were talking about earlier. This chief of staff literally is a anti-Fed pro cryptocurrency guy, right? So blockchain educational events in Congress. And this Mulvaney's relationship with the cryptocurrency dates back to July 2014 when the congressman from South Carolina visited the Bitcoin demo day at an education event on cryptocurrencies hosted by Capitol Hill, he said at the time. So that's why I'm investing in both gold as well as digging into becoming an expert in cryptocurrency. It's going to take me a while, but I'll get there as I go. And if you guys want to go on that journey with me, just let me know. Here's some more discussions like on 2626 and 2627. It says confirming Sean Hannity, John Solomon, Sarah Carter are trusted by Q. And look at this, 1 minute delta between POTUS tweet and Q's first drop today. So that's pretty cool, huh? Q said a long time ago that Solomon and Sarah are getting all the good stories. Very encouraging drops. WAPO equals clowns in America. That's totally true, isn't it? A lot of good discussion there. And this is another person confirming that the SH and the SC and the JS. I knew that right away because I've been telling you guys from the beginning. I watch these guys every night, Sarah Carter and John Solomon, and read all their articles, right? And here's some more discussion. The normies pay little attention to vote, so they're not on vote or 8chan or Q or Gab, right? Sean, John, and Sarah are the conduits to the normies. They'll listen to them. So if you got people that won't listen to you about Q, at least tell them, well, the person that's actually getting the correct information and reporting on it is John Solomon, Sarah Carter. And you'll see bombs being dropped all the time. Now, they also are playing their role, right? They're always calling for a second special counsel when we know that's not necessary when we have Huber and Horowitz and the other potential prosecutor as well. This is talking about D-Day, and there's some, is it December 19th? Is it D+5, right? Is it December 24th? Is that Merry Christmas? Is pain under the Christmas tree for the cabal? Right? And this person, I think, clears it up right here. The D in D-Day simply stands for day. The designation was traditionally used for the date of any important military operation or invasion. Thus, the day before June 6, 1944 was known as D-1. And the day after were D+1, D+2, D+, and so on. So that's pretty important to know. And again, let's not get too heavy into trying to predict dates. That's not what this is about. This is about making progress toward taking down the Illuminati. I do not think, again, that the Obamas and the Hillarys are going to be arrested until they can't walk down the street, which is going to be after movie 3, which hasn't started yet, which is Guardians of the Pedophiles, right? So here is Flynn. Hearing leaves the far right's conspiracy. Oh, we read that already. And here was another discussion. Looks like that's not going to go back for me. The sentencing that didn't happen. Why Flynn's case is bigger than Flynn. Right? And this is a good discussion of this here, where it talks about how it's so much bigger than Flynn, obviously. The confusion so many Americans have about the Russia collusion investigation is not due to anyone's lack of intelligence. It's done purposefully. So they don't have any evidence, so they want to really confuse you, right? That's one thing. And then Trump and the military intelligence and Q are basically doing this as part of injecting evidence and just setting up the way they want to make this all happen. So this man is bold for taking all these rubber bullets, right? Those rubber bullets got to hurt. And when you just look at his reputation and of the average person, right, that doesn't understand Q. So this is another discussion about D-Day, Patriots, Q+. It's go time. I think we're getting our head of ourselves. That may be a way to try to get them to continue to see if they have any more ammo, right? We'll see. This person says the D-Day will be January 4th, right? January 3rd is the Senate and the House begin. The day after would be the 4th, D-Day. And I just say, nah, guys, I just think we're jumping the gun trying to guess dates again, right? I think the point is, and again, D-Day, we didn't take over the entire European continent. It just took over one part of it and started. So who knows? But Poland signs a 20-year deal to purchase U.S. liquefied natural gas. So here we are becoming the biggest exporter of gas. Oil, and the natural gas is obviously from oil. So just the fact that Poland is not buying from Russia and they're buying from us is just huge things that will be happening in our economy and getting us away from being dependent on OPEC. The group of privately owned banks, I already read that to you guys last time. The letter to Judge Solomon in support of General Michael T. Flynn. So here's this person that was a veteran of the FBI, a vet. I've just been there a long time. Really, and there's a whole letter here which you might worth reading. Basically, talking about how he was mistreated and all that type of stuff. It's part of that whole how this all happened. Everybody knows he was mistreated, but hey, we did it on purpose as part of the plan. That's the exciting part about this. Here's Sean Davis saying Joseph and Mary. I'm sorry. Look, here's a Pope Francis thing. Pope Francis always seems to take on the globalist view of everything, right? And here's his globalist view. They're saying Jesus knows well the pain of not being welcomed. May our hearts not be closed as were the houses in Bethlehem. Remember, they had to go to the stable because everybody was coming back for the census. And so this guy's just clarifying is, hey, Pope Francis, guess what? Joseph and Mary weren't migrants in Bethlehem. They were returning to Joseph's hometown to be counted and taxed as Roman subjects. Right? That's just another true statement there. And so this is just, again, some discussions you see this was on the vote. Again, and there's a lot of discussions here about these different things. And here's a flashback. Obama said ISIS battle a generational struggle. Trump comes in, bombs the S out of ISIS, wins the battle, and announces troop withdrawal today. So you probably heard that. And part of this is not having announced withdrawals when you're going to withdraw. Right? And I think there's a big battle. Some of the generals want to be there. But I think Tucker Carlson did a great job tonight basically talking about, hey, guys, you could justify being in every country that's a dictator. If you got to, at some point in time, you've got to just move out and move on and save our money and our people for other purposes, right? Check this out. This is funny. So a vet starts a GoFundMe page, and in the first day it got for the wall. We the people will fund the wall. Vet creates a GoFundMe page and reaches $300,000 in the first day. And now if you click on it, it literally is up over $1 million. 1.8. Wow. That's grown since I opened it up last time. 1.8 million has been raised for the wall of just people going, hey, I'll jump in here. So if you want to show Trump your support, throw a little bit of money into his wall campaign. That here is the GoFundMe page. Comey confirms FBI never asked Hillary about the tarmac meeting or Obama emailing her on a private server. Is that crazy just to think about that? Just to think about that, Comey confirms that not only did pro-Hillary, anti-Trump struck not ask Hillary Clinton in July 2nd, 2016 interview about her husband's secret tarmac meeting with A.G. Lynch just days earlier, but he also did not ask her about Obama's emailing her on her unsecured private server. And obviously the 30,000 emails, guys, are going to be all the stuff where they showed the emails of Obama, the emails of No Name, the emails of Loretta Lynch and Valerie Jarrett. All these people had these secret emails, and that's the 30,000 they deleted, right? Trying to show that it's only Hillary, when it really was all 13 or 14 of these corrupt politicians working to sell out America. is what we were dealing with. Secret Service hand delivers Christmas letter from Trump to a young girl with brain cancer. Ugh. So just shows you that he has such a huge heart. Look at this. So you just the fact that Trump is has a heart, and then a Secret Service hand deliver Christmas letter from Trump to young girl with brain cancer. 10-year-old Olivia Hall has captured the hearts of people across the country. Recently got a huge surprise. Again, just comes back to the pride of having Trump as our president. That's what's so cool. I mean, just the fact that it's got a picture of Donald Trump there with, and here she is getting the Christmas card directly to her. Christmas letter from Trump. And you just got to be proud of this president to see what he's done, and not only the accomplishments but his heart. He's fallen in love with the American people. I really believe that happened when he was on tour, right, on the campaign. He fell in love with the American people like never before. He came into this to basically take on the cabal, but at the same time he really fell in love with the American people, and I think he also fell in love with the Lord Jesus. And I really believe that he's been anointed now, and that's why I just am excited to have a sponsor that is proud as well. And this is the Donald J. Trump 2020 Freedom Coin. So grab yourself some of these. These are only $35. The gold ones are $1,895, right? But you can see how beautiful these are. And we bought 7 of them, right? One for me and my wife, and then 5 to give away as Christmas presents. And again, they're only $35. If you order more than 3, you can get free shipping by using BLESSED in the coupon code. But look at the back of this. This can be used for your IRA, can be used for your 401ks because it's pure silver, 0.999 fine silver, delivering as promised with 4 promises on the back. So again, go to TrumpCoin2020.com. You'll see the link below in this video or in the show notes. Go to blessedtoteach.com for the show notes, right? And you'll see here, if you come down to actually purchase this, you will actually get a easiest way is to come right here and just say add to cart, and then click it again and views the cart, and it'll bring you right to this cart. And make sure if you have more than 3 here, 3 or more, put blessed in the coupon code right here, and you will get 30% off your purchase. Again, a President Donald J. Trump 2020 Freedom Coin at Trump2020coin.com. Here's look at this. An anon visited Trump Tower elevator in Chicago. Stockings are now arranged as JQTASK. So you can see JQT, Trump and Q together again, ASK. Interesting. Ask Trump about Q. I don't know. But that is interesting as they dug into that. The task of awakening people to the Jewish question. So that's what one person's talking about. Although the influence of Israel is outrageous, making everything J to do with Jews is blinding you all here. So there's a lot of discussion about that. Way too much people paranoid about every Jew's bad. That's just not the case. Brilliant. Ted Cruz calls for 14 billion seeds from El Chapo to fund the border wall. He did this last year too, but it looks like this has come up new because there's some new stuff coming up and this just didn't jump right to it for some reason. I noticed that happened last time too, but it looks like he's still pushing that, which would be 14 billion he's got of net worth. Here is Trump saying Mexico is paying indirectly for the wall through the new USMCA, the replacement for NAFTA. Far more money coming to the U.S. because of the tremendous dangers at the border, including large-scale criminal and drug flow. The United States military will build the wall. This is like the 3rd time he said this now. We hinted at it way back when we did all that showing about the Army Corps of Engineers and the Red Castle, White Castle stuff I showed you guys way back, I think in April. But Anons knew this was going to happen. And so now it's just played the hand where the Democrats are going to completely show their hand that they want open borders. And here we have this here. There's one other thing I'm going to change here real quick. So I can see, I can't even I really messed up my settings, guys. I want to really apologize for that when I was getting everything. We have 1,200 people still on, so at least I just want to make sure I was still live and going here. It looks like everything's running well. You can tell I just have tons of news. POTUS, shut it down. National security is more important to patriots now more than ever. Yep, there's a lot of support for that. 2 U.S. reps from California do international child trafficking live for MSNBC. So I guess they're using the fact that they were in court. They're going to use this NBC border deal, and they are actually corrupt. So they defrauded the other 43 members of Congress. So I'm not sure how true that is, but there's supposedly a video here of these guys working on the border, etc., and this is being used to show that they were corrupt. I haven't had to trying to go check this out, but it was on vote.co, and usually when it gets filtered with this many upvotes, 113 upvotes, right, that usually is a good indicator that there's been some filtering of that, and they'll call it out if it's fake. So it looks like this is true, that a couple of California dams in the House we're doing some trafficking. Crazy stuff. Here's another thing I haven't been able to verify either, but this is kind of wild. This is a message, supposedly a message directly from the military generals to the people of USA. Now, I'm not sure this is verified, but it says the military will be invoking emergency martial law after Christmas. The authorization for this action is based on 2 existing laws. Now, I just think this is too aggressive. I don't think we've woken up the people enough. I don't think this is going to happen. But this is what somebody had sent me on Twitter. The Insurrection Act of 1807. But these were interesting. The reason I'm going to show you this is because it was put in place to control a violent uprising against an authority or government. The International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977 was passed to protect against threats to the economy or the people of USA. Total martial law will include curfews and keep you safe. Guidelines and instructions will be communicated clearly. This is the first time in our country's history that the president will be given full power to control all acts of terrorism from within the borders. Donald J. Trump was the man chosen by the military to do his job. Do not be afraid. We simply ask that you be prepared for any resulting interruption of service by having extra food, extra water, medications, pet food, cash. Why? Should tensions arise, it is important that you and your family have the ability to stay out of the way. The military has sworn an oath of allegiance to our president and to keeping all citizens of the USA safe. Now they have all this QAnon stuff here and 68,000 sealed indictments, and it's really sealed court documents. Just want to make sure people know that counts high. It's not all sealed indictments. And so I think this whole thing is probably not verified, is what I'd say. But I do think it's important that we do prepare as Trump told us to prepare, right? Here's another article that was by a Vote person saying the same thing. Build your household. Food, water, firearms, ammunition. Regardless if someone believes in trusting the plan or not, it would serve everyone well if we were prepared for the worst. So really, and he gives a lot of details in here about how much water you should have, water bottle or filters, right? And it talks about the family of 5, how much you should have. He's suggesting a lot of different things about firearms, etc. You can go look for this yourself. He's talking about making sure you have. He suggests you get at least 30 days of food per person. Here it is. Work your way towards 30-day supply of each family member. So have water well in your property, and the usage of filtration systems. Right. There's a variety of ways you can do that. I've given you guys some. You can go see them all on blessed2teach.com. Here's where you want to go to get the show notes. Right here is the show notes. You just click on this from the site, and you can see the show notes from yesterday right here. These will have all the links to my sponsors as well as the ones that you can help you prepare, like we talked about, which would be, here's Bob with Trade Genius and all his Christmas specials. Here's the Trump coin. Here's the ammo can, $39 at over 50% off to get a week's worth of food. And then here's all the articles. So everything I went over last night is here, right? And it renders really nicely. So if you want to link to those, the best way to do this is just come to the home page and just come down here and add yourself to the email list, and then you'll get a link with one click that'll take you to the right show notes for that show. Okay, I'm also on podcasts if you want to come to the podcast. There's a bunch of recommended books I have here, some other links to all my backup sites, as well as BitChute, Real Video, etc. Okay, now there's the if you wanted a couple weeks worth of food, you'd go to preparewithrick.com, and then obviously the water filter was waterwithrick.com. It went up to $199 the other day, the Water with Rick, and it's now back down to $149, I believe. That's what I saw, $149, right? So it was $199 just a couple days ago. So Water with Rick or Prepare with Rick to get those, or come just to Bless to Teach to find all the links in the show notes. Let's get into a quick prophecy here. It looks like I had everything not set up the way I wanted to today, but I know which one I was going to go over. It was a Kim Clement one. Here it is. So this is, I'll make this even bigger since we don't have everything up. This is pretty long, as you can see. And so this is the one I just read the bold items, give you a flavor for what's going on. February 22nd, 2014, when Kim Clement made some pretty big predictions that had to do with Trump and gold and stone and other things. So I thought this might be pretty cool to read some of the bold parts. He has this dream, and he says, I turned around and I was stunned what I saw. This man was just a mere dream, but this was a vision. And so I raised my hand like this, and every one of them raised their hands. I looked back, and they were doing the same thing. I shouted, and they all shouted. They were one. They were one party of people. It continued until I realized that the unity of these amongst them stood, and one that God had set aside to be the leader of this nation. So, guys, this reminds me a little bit of a Trump rally, but now it's everybody coming. I think it's going to be so cool. This is, and the Spirit of God made me look at him, and he said, this man will throttle the enemies of Israel. And again, this was back in 2014, right? This man will throttle the enemies of the West. And there are highly embarrassing moments that are about to occur for many, many politicians in this nation. They will be shaking amongst the Democrats in the upcoming elections, but unsettling for the Republicans. Why is God doing this? For God said, I am dissatisfied with what emerges from both parties. And then there is this nation he showed me. He took me itching for a new kind of war with America. And they will shout, impeach, impeach. They say, but nay, the nation shall come very soon. So I think the nation is North Korea. But look at this, says impeach, impeach, but nay. Later this says, they will shout, impeach, impeach, but this shall not happen. So even though the Democrats have the power to do this and they're being pushed to do it, according to Kim Clement, it's not going to happen. And then God says, highly embarrassing moments will when another Snowden arises and the people will become afraid. This might have been Vault 7 that happened with the CIA, duplicating everything and then some that the NSA did. They will say, we have no protection. And then God says, I am impressed. Am I impressed with your weapons of war? Am I impressed with the strength of your men's legs? Ha! I have said, I will bring this nation to its knees. And God said, you have been humbled, and yet some more. And then you shall hear the sounds of great victory. For where there are the people gathered. For where are the people gathered? Where are my people gathered? Where is the sound of unity from my people? So I just think this is where God's going to be calling us here, or hoping in 2019, to unity. In this week, this man shall begin to emerge. And the following 2 weeks, which is a 3-week period, he shall slowly come to the fore. And if you go look at the dates of this is when Trump was just announcing for presidency. For they are saying, how do we kill the giant? How do we kill the giant of debt? Trump is facing that right now in a heavy way. How do we kill the giant of socialism? How do we kill the giant of human secularism? have I placed that man amongst you, a humble man. And so Trump, I really believe, is going to kill all this stuff. He's going to kill debt with the cabal money. How do you kill the giant of socialism? Well, you basically wake people up with the Great Awakening. It's the same way you kill human secularism, right? As God says, these that shall reject him shall be shocked at how he takes the giant down. He talks about it being done with a stone. It's really interesting. Gold, stone, California in a small stature. And God says, once you recognize the man that I have raised up, pray for the enemy will do everything in his power to put a witch in the White House. Did anybody hear what I just said? For Jezebel has chased away the prophets and even Elijah. Now I have said, go back, for this shall be dismantled so that there will be no more corruption in the White House, says the Spirit. Wow. If you just look at Hillary's history and what she's been doing, that was, to me, a complete fulfilled prophecy. We tried to get a witch in the White House, and right now there is no more corruption in the White House, which has been happening for 8 years plus, all the way back to the Bushes. America, freedom is yours in the spirit of Israel. Freedom to reign. America, righteous judgment, and a great shaking of the Spirit in America. The Spirit of God says, one more thing that I want to talk to you about. That little dwarf in North Korea, I'm getting a little tired of him. I think I'm going to pay him a visit, says the Lord. You watch and see what I will do, and it'll be a big sign that the man that I am sending with the stone for the giant is emerging, says the Lord. God is calling us to unity. I decided enough is enough. Push aside that false narrative you have been listening to, if you have, because you are being used by the enemy to put a witch in the White House. Why do I say this? And that's the end of that prophecy. And obviously I skipped quite a bit of it, but wow. It just shows that Kim Clement, who passed away right after Trump was elected, just had some incredible insights and everything. I haven't seen any false prophecies from the guy, so it's just been amazing to me. And then let me finish up with a verse, one of my favorite verses out of the Bible, Romans 12:2. Talks about, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. I was going to flip back to see if you guys could hear me if I flip back to scene for a second, just to close this out with some prayer. Yep, it looks like, I've only got my microphone set up on one of my scenes, so I have to do that 3 separate times. So I will get that all fixed. I'll get all this technical stuff fixed. As you know, I went to all new audio equipment, thanks to awesome sponsor. And but let's just pray here and we'll wrap it up. Heavenly Father, just thank you so much for giving Trump the power to solve so many different problems, and your hand being on this country and bringing all these smart people together, plus it's like this new chief of staff, and to be able to replace this Federal Reserve, restructure it completely, take the power from the cabal. What an amazing time we live in to be able to see this live with our own eyes and be able to participate in it with this military intelligence dump. What a privilege it is. What a time to be alive. And we just thank you for this platform and be able to share with each other and talk and be able to discuss it. Lord, we thank you for Romans 12:2 that talks about not conforming to the pattern of this world, that we just need to be in the Bible and transform our minds. We renew our minds by just being in the Word of God. How cool is that? And that's how we're able to test what your will is. If we want to know what God's will really is, then we actually want to do that with Romans 12:2 talks us the pleasing and perfect will of yours we know by renewing our mind in the Bible. Lord, thank you for your Word of God. Thank you for this time together to be alive in such a time as this. Bless this plan, President Trump. Expose the Federal Reserve. Replace it with wisdom, Lord. Thank you. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right, guys. Hey, thank you, Eric Thompson. I appreciate it. I'll just bring you guys over here for a little bit. an hour and 15. I went a little late, and then, boy, my settings messed up. Do really apologize for that. I pulled myself off the screen, and when I'm on the screen, there's no sound, and had all kinds of technical issues there. So I think I know how to fix all that, but I just realized as I was messing around to get the videos I play to actually go directly into OBS, my recording software. I've got it all figured out now. Now I just have to assemble it all together. So I'll have that fixed. Merry Christmas, Patriots. Yes, I hear you. Awesome prayer, Rick. Thank you, Matt's Mike. Good job, Q family. Let's pray for Hannity, too. That's a good point. Yeah, and the safety of Sarah Carter and John Solomon. I heard they're under military protection, as well as Hannity. And also, just all these whistleblowers and other people. Wow. So I see Angela and Regina and AI and Jamie and Pro America and Jay Patridge and Gina, Sherry, Janet. Thank you guys for being here. Spud Forever. Mattis Mike. Mod's been spying the whole time. So another phase. And Lou, thank you so much for being here. John Cox and Shirley, thank you. Oh, late. Just in time to say goodbye. Hey, thanks, Shirley. Yeah, just in time. And I really mess up. I had the dog barking at the first, and then I only had the screen showing me without showing my screen. So then I turned the sound off when I went to the screen, since the new audio equipment wasn't put on the other settings. so my whole, I played with everything, testing different things to get things ready for you guys tonight, and obviously need to do that on a weekend when I have more time, because I work today. Hey, thank you, Cody C. Do appreciate it. Thank you, Cody, for the insight to some of those Twitter threads. Were just awesome. There's so much. Hey, throw me Twitter threads. Some of these brilliant anons are awesome. I saw In the Matrix was on here for a second. He has just awesome material as well. Thank you guys so much for everything. But do apologize for the technical difficulties we had that first 15 minutes. Bob has incredible insights, though. I've spent some time with him offline on just what's happened with the Federal Reserve, what could happen, and what the restructuring could be. And it really could be some great investment opportunities based upon that, right? Just that knowledge. So, I don't know, just with gold and cryptos, I think are going to be the answer over stocks probably, right? And although he does training on stocks if you're interested in that, and he has a unique method to do some of those things. So pretty cool guy. Check out Paul Jackson, The Perfect Storm Prophecy. Hey Spud, good evening, bro. Patrick, your tooth must feel better. Oh yeah, oh man, I was not doing good yesterday. I'm surprised I was able to. I think God did something amazing, because I was on codeine. Totally told my chat group I wasn't going to be on. Then the dentist switched me to just anti-inflammatories and ice, and all of a sudden I just felt good. Like an hour before I usually go live. It usually takes me a couple hours to get ready, so I rushed it and got together. So and it was pretty rough last night at 2. I took NyQuil and a bunch of drugs, but today I feel much better. Yes. So thank you, Tree Climbing. I appreciate that. I think somebody else did something too. I don't know if I thanked them as well. Eric Thompson, thank you for your super chat. Really do appreciate it. It's funny, for the first time they didn't. I think the last video I had, they didn't demonetize right away, which is a shocker. I'm sure it's a mistake, and so it'll be interesting to see. And it's just crazy what YouTube's doing. Because it's what's more frustrating than all about that is that then they don't ever suggest it, and these videos just don't get out. So I really appreciate you guys sharing these videos. This is probably a pretty bad one to share the more I think about it because of the messed up video and audio I had at the beginning. But yeah, thank you, Shirley, for definitely doing better. I have a lot of energy right now, and and I'm excited about getting all this equipment working. It's just as I get new pieces of knowledge, and I learned how to do something new. It didn't work on Zoom, so at the last minute I had to pull and go back to my old settings. And since I had all these new settings, it didn't all pull together well. So we'll get that all fixed soon. All right. Hey, and a fun time though, guys. Can you believe those fake news articles that we get? It's just crazy that you have the biggest media companies in the world attacking us. So, can't be bad news when that's happening, though. That means we're doing something right. Hey, with that, I'm just going to wrap this up, guys, and say thank you. How do I email you, Damien? Yeah, Damien, so you can go to my website, and there's a contact me there. I also have just a Blessed to Teach, which is Blessed to Teach, and then B2T, which was the number 2 at gmail.com. That's probably way too complex. Feedingkidscharity.com is probably an easier one. I'm sorry, feedingkidscharity at gmail.com is another one. But also you can hit me on Facebook and Twitter. Pretty easy to get a hold of me one of those ways. But the email is blessedtoteach, B, the number 2, T, at gmail.com. If those of you want to try to hit me on that one. All right, guys. Wanted to just say, woo! Exciting times coming. We got Q back. We got Sara Carter, John Solomon, also Sean Hannity on stage for a reason, because they're part of the Great Awakening movie, right? And we had new Q today for new post. This is a Blessed to Teach show for December 19th. God bless you guys. Looking forward to seeing you next time.